All right, folks. We've got a nice group here today. Once again, the goal is to try to be interactive. Remember, if you see something that raises a question, don't hesitate to ask us. We're here to help out and get you guys fully walk through this. But thanks everyone once again for joining us. We'll move on to the agenda. Just some brief introductions. First and foremost, we're going to go on and cover some prerequisites for the system. We'll talk about CDR Pro and Call Accounting, which are the two modules from the free trial bundle that we're working on today. We'll cover the two ways to obtain that module. We'll talk about the Sangoma portal and also the graphical user interface for FreePBX. Once we've learned how to get the free trial bundle, Chris and Lauren and the crew are going to walk through showing us how to install that. We're going to take some time out the end for feedback and discussion, and then we'll wrap everything up and get you guys on your way. How's that sound? All right, we're not going to live in a slide deck today. So again, this is going to be a little bit different. We do have a couple slides to cover, but for the most part, this is going to be live. And like I said, interactive. So help us out by joining in the conversation. All right, so I'll go first. Michael White, I am the Vice President Open Source Sales at Sangoma. I joined just pre-pandemic 2020. And I'm in Traverse City, Michigan. If you talk to people who are in the state of Michigan, they're going to hold up their right hand, show it to you. I'm in the tip of the pinky, very far north. I've been working with FreePBX since the beginning, actually, since Asterisk at home, and got involved in the Asterisk project very early on and built a business around open source technology and found myself here at Sangoma via acquisition. That's my story, and I'm joined today by Chris DeLeese. If you want to jump in there and tell us about it, Chris.
Sure, Mike. You mentioned Astros at Home. I had to look it up to see when that actually was released. And
2005?
I've been doing this for almost 20 years now. It seems that 2004 was the earliest date that I saw. I manage our support team and been with Sangoma since 2014. But again, been involved with the project since 2004, 2005 is when I first started playing with Astros at Home. So glad to be here and glad everyone's joined. And we look forward to your feedback and comments.
We're also joined by Alvita Crespo. Alvita, welcome.
Hey Mike, thank you.
No
So I
problem.
actually started in the open source VoIP world with the Elastic project, and it was quite some time ago already. And for me, it's been almost 6 years at Sangoma, and I'm currently doing product marketing for open source and other cool stuff in our product portfolio.
Great. And I met Alvita actually when she was involved at the Elastis project, working with that group as well. We're also joined by a man who needs very little introduction in the FreePBX space, Mr. Lauren Vader, also known as Lauren Gates. Welcome, Lauren Gates. How you doing, Lauren?
I am well, thank you, Mike. As I said, Lauren Gates. I'm the product manager at Sangoma for the open source products, and I am based in Eastern Canada near Halifax, Nova Scotia, for those who know the area. I got started using Asterisk and FreePBX back in 2008 when I set up a PBX for a small professional office I was working in an unrelated industry. It did most of what I needed, but not all. So I started out hacking at the system and later became an open source code contributor and forum participant. I've been using both ever since, coming up to, what is it, almost 16 years now. So great fun.
I remember when I used to feel like one of the young, hot telecom guys. Now I'm just one of the gray beards in the project.
Grizzled veteran.
Lauren, I think you're another good example of how, folks have come from being part of the community or working somewhere behind the scenes with Asterisk and FreePBX and, finding themselves on their way to the project. And then, interestingly enough, so many times I hear that same story here at Sangoma where people have, kind of joined because of FreePBX, and that's why they're here today. Last but not least, we've got a gentleman named Ryan Markham. Ryan Markham is a gentleman that I've had the fortunate luck of working with for close to a decade. Ryan joined Sangoma alongside my team here when E4 was acquired, and I'll shut up now and let Ryan introduce himself.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, I've been working with FreePBX and Asterisk for, like you said, the better part of a decade, just a shade under 10 years here now. And I'm the director of open source sales here at Sangoma. And my role is to really help enterprise users and partners and resellers to familiarize themselves with the entire product stack that FreePBX and its ecosystem can bring for your communication needs. So it's great to be here. I'm digging the new format for this, and excited to see how it goes. Thanks, guys.
Excellent. Well, guys, I know I put you all up to this kind of short notice. I really appreciate you joining me for this new effort. So this is going to be the part where I jump into a quick portion of the slide deck, which is shared, and we're just going to cover the free trial bundle, what's in it. So the free trial bundle is part numbers listed there at the top. What's included basically is a trial of many of our commercial modules. The first two that we're going to be covering today are CDR Pro and Call Accounting. We'll cover those a little bit more in detail. We also incorporate the multi-factor authentication module. This brings multi-factor authentication via Google and Microsoft apps. You can also do email or call multi-factor authentication. This is supported both for the admin as well as any UCP user. Next one up on the docket, and remember, we've got 3 of these live interactive webinars coming out over the next couple weeks. We're going to try to cover 2 or 3 of these at a time. Those are listed. Next one up is advanced recovery. Advanced recovery gives you what I would call, and if anyone wants to jump in on this, a solid extension of the feature set for warm spare and FreePBX. This gives you the ability to fail over to a secondary unit with some automation features for things like notification and the switching of your trunks and phones and such. We've also got CRM Link. CRM Link gives you the ability to bring in, many popular CRMs like Salesforce, or even provide some custom integration with your homebrewed CRM as well. We've got an appointment reminder app. This is something you might bump into at a doctor's office. You've scheduled your appointment with as a patient. They're going to give you an automated call and remind you that took place. And within that, they'll drop you into an IVR that allows you to talk to them if necessary. We've got QExact reports. QExact reports really is the ability to get more granular in your Q reporting. It's really divided into a couple sections. We've got templates and reports. We'll cover that in more detail in our third session. We've also got Exact Dialer. Exact Dialer is just what it sounds like. It's an automated dialer. Generally speaking, I wouldn't confuse this with a true dialer solution. This is more like a broadcast notification dialer. And then last but not least, we've got Virtual Q Plus. Virtual Q Plus basically, expands on all the options available for the queues in the PBX. We'll cover that in detail as well. And then I did want to remind you guys also that we have Sangoma Talk and Phone, which are mobile and desktop apps. We also offer free trials for that. We're going to cover those in the future as well. And if you're looking for something to make calls on while you are trying all this stuff out, feel free to browse to the SipStation module in the graphical user interface of FreePBX and jump right on that free trial. It gives you 20 days inbound, outbound calling with a DID in your local area that you pick. So feel free to give all those a try. Just some quick information on CDR Pro, which is one of the modules we're going to cover today. Again, I'm hoping you guys jump in here with some conversation as well, but if I were to describe this module quickly, I would say, everybody loves the CDR module in FreePBX. Call detail records there are what I would like to call maybe extremely verbose, and you can definitely get all the information that you need from it. However, a lot of times it's presented in a way that's really verbose, and sometimes we just need to get down to brass tacks on what we're looking for. So CDR Pro gives you the ability to, find granular reporting in your users and your ring groups, queues. It gives you the ability to tell how many DIDs and how many calls you've had into certain segments of your business. And then it gives you, even some enhanced reporting functions that I think we're pretty proud of. The first one is that we've incorporated the channel event logging data in a very logical sense as well. So you can see cradle to grave reporting. And then we've even added what we call our media experience score, which is a really slick new technology from Asterisk. Think of it similar to a MOS score. It gives you the ability to see, the technical bits in the CDR on whether or not your call quality was good as well. And then you can wrap a nice little bow around all these and set up schedule reports and dump these to people that need to see this information when they need it on a regularly scheduled basis. Last but not least, the thing that we're going to be covering in detail today is call accounting module. This one right here is it's a module that could be used for a lot of different types of businesses. One of the use cases we've seen quite regularly for it would be, you work at a law firm, you're looking for a way to assign and define billing on a per call, per minute basis to your um, customers. Call accounting module gives you the ability to do that. It also gives you the ability to set things like a rate deck and how much you bill to those customers. It's also used regularly internally in businesses that have departments that make a lot of calling and need to have bill back specifically for those callings. And we'll cover that more in detail as well. And that's pretty much it for the slide deck right now. I'm going to move it back up to the agenda so we can keep on track. We'll leave that up as we go through. Let's talk a little bit about how to obtain this. I'll continue here. Can you guys, it looks like my screen is still being shared. So one of the ways to get this, guys, should we stop and take some questions? Do you think anybody's got any questions so far? I don't see any hands raised.
I've been watching the queue and nothing typed in yet. So just another reminder, anything that comes to mind, feel free to share it in the question field and we'll address it as it comes up.
And I'm looking through this. I see lots of familiar names. Feel free. I know you guys. I see a lot of guys on here that have opinions and good stuff to bring to the table. Feel free to jump in and help us out. All right. So this is Sangoma Portal. I think at this point you guys should all know how to get here. I would say this is probably one of those things that I would consider a prerequisite. The Sangoma Portal affords you the ability to log in. Once logged in, you'll see the store section. One of the things that I want to also say as a prerequisite, Chris, I don't know if you want to jump in here and talk about the system prerequisites now, but once we've got this thing set up and installed, one of the first places you're going to end up as an administrator is in the system admin module. Once you've activated your system or licensed it, you'll see that in the sysadmin module, there's an activation section, and the thing that we're going to be looking for is your deployment ID. And this deployment ID, I just recommend adding it to the clipboard if you're following along with us now. But one of the ways to get the free trial bundle would be just to log in to the portal, type in the word click store, and then you'll see a search icon here. Search for the word trial. You'll see that the trial bundle is going to pop up first thing. We're going to go ahead and add that to our cart and check out. When we do, it's going to ask us for one very important piece of information, and that's going to be our deployment ID. It's going to look it up. This is going to take me longer than it's going to take you, that's for sure. And then you just simply agree to the terms and conditions, and then simply check out. Once that order is processed again for $0, you're going to have a system that is licensed for all the commercial modules that are available on in the trial bundle. And we're good to go. Next up in the mission, prerequisites. Do we need to cover anything on the, Chris, I'm going to leave this one up to you, buddy. Want to talk about system setup?
We prefer people be on the latest version of our software, 16, and also suggest people start testing 17. But other than that, the activation and making sure that activation is applied and those licenses are showing up. Once that's done, making sure they're on the latest version of the modules, um, they should be good to go.
Excellent. And one of the things I did want to mention, we're moving forward. We've got a couple of these left. Chris and myself are working on a video where we kind of cover the prerequisites, maybe installing, getting firewall set up. Anything else you want to mention on that, Chris?
Just the UBI wizard, the out of the box experience for FreePBX is certainly something you want to step through. We guide them through the firewall, we guide them through um, adding trusted sources, and also trying to think of another good piece of the firewall there. Astra SIP settings is also checked during that process and configured for you. So definitely step through the UBI, and you should be good to go.
Great. And what he's calling UBI is OOBE, and that's out of box experience. It's the first thing that happens when you created your PBX. You probably remember that's when you get your activation. All right, Chris.
Just before Chris starts, we had a comment from Charles who says we've been using CDR Pro for a couple of months. Very helpful for less experienced users, and that goes to one of the design aspects of the CDR Pro module. I wanted to call it simple CDR, but that the idea of being one record, one phone call, one conversation, and that it goes a long way toward alleviating the confusion associated with figuring out who spoke to who if you're using the original CDR module. So thanks, Charles.
Very good. Well, I'm going to get started and head through this list of modules, and we'll just briefly cover each one. And feel free to ask questions interactively as we go through these. The first one that we talked about, I think Mike mentioned the old CDR reports, which you can see are somewhat convoluted and not very easy to discern with respect to the type of business data most of you are trying to deliver. But if we skip to CDR Reports Pro, we've got information presented in a very simple manner that gives you a good presentation of typical questions you're going to get from a business perspective. Um, Summaries up here related to total inbound and outbound. This average MES is also good to see. You can drill down, with respect to dates and times. When are you most busy? This is my system, so it's not reflective of typical business. But you can also see my average MES scores, which is awesome. You can
Chris,
change this. Yes, go ahead.
if I'm anything over an 80 is considered a good MES score, right? I believe that's the case. 80.
80. That seems to be a good number. Um, the lower, I believe, is the score that you're interested in, right?
Correct. Yeah, I guess the bottom entry point for a good call.
But you can change your charts there. You can actually export these as well. You can schedule a report. And the interesting thing about the report scheduler, some things that we added here are the format. So you can do it in PDF, Excel, CSV, and JSON. I know we've got some people on the call who are already using JSON to bring this information into a data lake on a scheduled basis, which is pretty cool. You can choose your storage locations. So FTP, local SSH, S3, whatever type of bucket you want to drop it into, as long as that's defined in your file store, you can deliver this report to that destination. Really good data, something we didn't have before with this MES, and that's awesome to be able to see that. And just a great module overall. You can filter it further here with inbound, outbound, internal, missed, answered, just about anything you want to see. You can drill it down to a queue if you like and select the queue. So about any way you want to slice and dice this, CDR Reports Pro is doing a good job at delivering that. Anyone else?
One thing I wanted to, sorry to interrupt, Chris. I did want to add that I did just drop a link for MES score in the chat. So feel free to check that out if you want more info on it.
Very good. Thank you, Mike. I'm going to move on to the multi-factor authentication module next. It's pretty simple to configure and license. Let's see, we're going to find it here. But this is the general MFA settings screen. You can enable it or disable it globally. Decide what type of MFA you want to use. I have tested all of these, but right now mine is set up for email. And then you can also further define which type of users you want to apply this multi-factor authentication to, be it administrators or just UCP users. So as far as my settings, I've got one of each here. I've got my admin set up, and this is just another user here. So both of those are configured for the administrator interface. And then I also have that set up for the UCP interface for these following users. And it works very well. I've had no issues with it. If you have any problems, it's going to be probably email delivery. One of the first things it's going to ask you to do is to actually verify email receipt. So before you do much with this module, you'll want to ensure that your email settings are correct and that the system's sending emails correctly. Advanced recovery. This is an interesting module. It's somewhat new, but very easy to use. This is going to be, I guess, my dangerous demo portion of this thing. I'm going to attempt a quick configuration in front of you. I've got two systems here, 1 and 2, 1 being my primary, 2 being my spare or my recovery system. And if we look at this system right now, we'll see that we have no extensions here. Ignore that. So it's blank. I've basically got a blank system over there. This is my primary. And if we look here, we're going to see I have all types of extensions. So I want to set up very simple recovery and replication on a schedule. I can just go to quick configuration. That's my primary server. My secondary server, I just need to grab an IP for that. There we go. There's some other tricks in here that we'll talk about in just a moment. And just next. And then I'm going to pick a replication schedule here. I want to pick something close. Let's see, we're 11:24. So I will try for 11:27. Give myself 3 minutes here. And 11. So this does the trick. Now, these are some options that you'll see. Do you want to auto switch services or not? My typical inclination here is no. Lauren actually warned about this as far as restore in an earlier message to those testing FreePBX 17. I have a habit of forgetting about this. Some members of the audience may know I've forgotten about this and caused an issue before, but right now I'm just going to leave disable remote trunks as no. Because we're dealing with two separate systems, two separate data centers, I'm going to tell it to exclude NAT settings, exclude the bind address, exclude DNS. Yes, I want to apply configs, and no, I don't want to exclude my certificate. I'll explain why in a moment. So that's basically it. At this point, we've defined the backup or replication schedule. We've talked about what we want to replicate here, which is essentially going to be everything with these few exceptions or inclusions. Next, whether or not you want to get a call notification of an event. I choose not to. I'm going to plug in an email address here. Oh, shoot, I just exited. That's great. cdr.me. And we can then hit configure. And that's it. That's basically the configuration in a nutshell. It will go through, apply itself, do some configuration internally, and we'll have an option here to check on its status in just a moment. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and click Start Service here. At this point, we're running the configuration. Take a moment.
Kind of as the name implies, advanced recovery, it's a solution, for high availability. If you're running an environment that demands, 100% up or close to it uptime, this would be the solution you want to probably look to for running your free PBXs.
I'm not sure if I caught it in time to catch my schedule. It doesn't look like it. Let me refresh this, and then we'll just force it. Oh no, it's already moving. So that was pretty quick. Remember, I had no extensions here. I have no contacts yet. So let's keep an eye on this.
And what's happening, again, if it wasn't obvious, I'll just say it out loud. The primary server is being rebuilt on the secondary infrastructure as Chris types. He's checking the asterisk command line to see how many PJ-SIP peers there were, and he has none yet. So this is what's going on. It's loading them over there. How long's this module been? This one's been around for a couple of years. This is a very mature module, quite popular one in the product set. Those of you that may remember, we had a HA module previously. We discontinued that module to favor the new features in the advanced recovery module.
Indeed. It gets better around the end, guys, just so you know. So this thing should be close. No, there's my restore job right there that I'm watching. And it is still running. But some of the interesting things you can do here to gain redundancy, all of my configs, I use 3 different DNS records on my test systems. One for the primary, you can see on my name here is CDITC1 for this test system. This one's CDITC2. But there's also a name behind the scenes here that utilizes AWS's S3, not S3, I'm sorry, AWS Route 53 DNS health checkers. And it's, I'm monitoring 5038, which is the, what port is that, Lauren? Help me here. Anyway, I'm monitoring 5038 to tell if the system's alive or dead. So basically, if Asterisk is dead, Route 53 is going to recognize that and should update my failover DNS address, which is just CDITC, not a 1 or a 2. And let's go back here and do a refresh.
What was 5038 AMI?
Yeah, asterisk AMI binds.
All right, we're still restoring. Don't remember it taking this long before. But the thing that you can do with that, and what I'm going to show you here in a moment, this is my Sangoma phone actually connected to the primary system. In this failover, if I had remote clients connected via soft phone, and I've replicated my certificate and everything else that I'm doing, getting the soft phone transferred over to it's a seamless process. Users may not even recognize it, but they may have to do a reload. That's something we'll look to improving as far as that behavior in the future, but it's pretty doggone nifty. Okay, it looks like we've completed our restore. There we go. Done. Restore done. So let's take a look at this backup now. If we go to applications and extensions and reload this, we've got everything. Now, I mean, this is where it gets even better. If we look at endpoint, watch what happens here with respect to these telephones. I've got some physical P-series phones here. You can see I've got no contacts, just the trunks and that were replicated over. If I look at my primary system, I've got a bunch of different phones. I'm going to be focused on 2003 and 2005. But if I go to Endpoint Manager, say regenerate EPM config, considering I've got this redundancy setup now with advanced recovery, I'm going to apply this just to my Digium, and I'm going to do it with my Digium default. There's my secondary server, and I'm going to tell the phones to update and regenerate. This is cool. Watch what happens. Okay, you can see these phones checking in through DPMA now. If I come over here, we will start seeing phones show up.
And you just heard an acronym called DPMA. That's Digium Provisioning Module for Asterisk. It's a technology utilized in our phones for, making everything work very smoothly together. If you haven't had an opportunity yet to check out our P-Series phones, I see a couple guys on the group that we sent some demo units out to. Check them out. We don't. There's no tighter integration available. We've done everything we can to make using the physical phone as easy as is the desktop phone or even the mobile client. So recommend checking those out when you get a chance. So the Sangoma P-Series. From a real-time perspective, Lauren, I noticed something in there we'll want to get fixed. If you see in that where it says regenerate the configs, we should probably put P-Series in there too. I'll make a ticket on that.
Yeah, I noticed. I have a note right here.
And that's the kind of stuff, we kind of hope to uncover in these sessions, right? FreePBX, open source, your contributions and then the team's contributions are what make the changes in the GUI, right? So, as a community member, if you spot some of this stuff, feel free to do myself and Lauren and the rest of the crew a favor and point it out. We're happy to fix it.
So let's pretend we've had a failure. This is my desktop client connected to the primary. If I look for that right now, we can see 981.0.0.1 is connected here. I'm just going to do a core stop now, which is a simple way to kill asterisk. And there it goes. You should get some type of notification here shortly that this has occurred. This is the DNS piece I was mentioning earlier. So if we look at ping cdirtc.launch.works.io, you can see that's resolving the 155 address, but asterisk has died there. Based on what I've set up in Route 53, this address should in pretty short order transfer over to my backup 207 address. And we'll keep an eye on that for it to happen. Asterisk is dead. I would expect to see some phones over here. I'm not sure why that's not happening yet, but we will figure that out.
As that's going, Chris, I'll in the sense of learning here for the group, the core stop now command is going to stop everything on the system, drop all calls. You can also do a graceful restart that will wait until there's no call activity. That command is core stop gracefully.
I also use core restart when convenient. It also restarts the asterisk core without dropping calls.
Okay, there it's happened. You can see this address has changed. So when I'm pinging my failover address, this is now updated to the new IP. You can see this thing has said lost connection. I'm just going to kill it and re-authenticate. And that's it. I'm now on the other system with CDITC2, and there I am. You can see I've already got some phones that failed over as well. 2007 has just followed over. I restarted one of my P-Series here, but that's the type of redundancy this thing can deliver. This is live. This is the system I tear into every day. So if you see any inconsistencies here, it's probably of my own doing, but a very powerful module to deliver very powerful results. I don't know that it can be done any easier. There's certainly the warm spare manual method, but this was set up in a matter of minutes in front of a live audience. So I hope you're duly impressed.
Nice work, Chris.
Very good. Let's move on to a different module then.
Chris, one thing I skipped over, I didn't know if you were going to handle it or if we want to go back and do that, or was how to get the modules in the graphical user interface.
How to get the modules in the graphical user interface.
Yeah, how to. So one of the things I want to talk about here, and I'm sure anybody that's been using FreePBX for any amount of time has probably noticed that we built an e-commerce platform, or basically built portal integration directly into it. So, if you're navigating your fresh build of FreePBX and you come across a module that, if Chris, if you could just hit that admin right there, for example, maybe go to the module that you don't have installed, it's going to offer you up the opportunity to purchase it right there. You have MFA on here already, Chris?
I'm
I can
sorry, hey,
share that on. I'll jump in here with mine. I've got it.
I've got Asterisk killed in that system.
Sorry. Get my screen shared here. One sec. Sorry, guys. This is
Live TV.
here we go. So, if we're looking at the system and we come across a module like Q reports or even CDR Pro, you're going to notice here, oops, I don't have it installed. Which one am I going to, give me one. Sangoma Connect. Here we go. All right. So this is a
Look, we lost your audio, Mike.
lost audio there for a second, folks. Sorry about that. I'm back. All right. So as I was making a point here and taking way too much time, failing miserably, you'll notice that inside the graphical user interface, there's a buy now button. Clicking that buy now button is going to bring up the ability to actually purchase those right in there. So this is where I want to just basically cover how to obtain it inside the graphical user interface. And Chris, if you want to expand upon any of that about, actually the module admin or anything like that, feel free to.
Well, if the module's listed as uninstalled, you've also got the buy now option for that module. I'll share my screen again. Got Asterisk restarted. I don't know if I've got anything that's not installed, but we'll look. Here's an example. Sangoma AI. Not available yet, but it's coming soon. It does some interesting things, but we're not going to cover it today. We will save that for a future webinar. But this is the piece Mike was talking about. If the module is installed and you haven't purchased it, one or two ways you're going to get notified about that would be in this area of module admin, or by navigating to the module itself and getting that banner on the page. Very good. I'm going to move on to call accounting. And that menu is here under admin and call accounting. I have little to no experience with this module other than what I set up for the demo. So I'll just show you. I've set up a quick deck and made some test calls. And we should see some data here as soon as I put the right date range in. And this is the type of information that you can get out of it for duration, build seconds, and all that. Define cost if you have any. And you can download reports either as CSV format or PDF. And I think Mike covered some good examples of where this could be used. He even threw out a few that I hadn't thought of, so good job on that, Mike. But being able to define the dates and hours within the rate decks is pretty cool. Like if you've got an after hours rate versus not, you link the rate decks to, where do we see that? You can link a rate deck to a time group somewhere.
One of the other things I want to mention too, while I don't think this is a great use case for it, I do see some of our customers that are, $4.99 filing resellers of VoIP services, utilizing this to rebuild their customers as well. Probably not the best use case. I don't think this is what I would consider a, true VoIP billing platform or anything like that, but it's definitely, you know, well utilized if you're looking to bill back your customers for the time you spent on the phone with them.
Very good. CRM link is the next module that I see on the list.
I did want to say we're gonna have to leave some of these for the other time. We covered a couple. Unfortunately for us today, we've got another meeting utilizing this app, so we've got to push through. Chris, you want to save that one for next time?
Sure, CRM link's pretty easy, but if it's there, it's under settings. You got two options here: CRM settings and CR API settings. Very easy to navigate. Appointment reminder. I think Mike covered this one as well, but this is an easy way to upload a list. You can do it one of two ways. You can upload that list manually, or you can give it a source URI so that it's constantly sucking in those lists, and it will call the people on the list and give you a report of the activity. List updates, that's where it could pull it from, and the refresh schedule.
So again, this is the application that does just what it's titled, appointment reminders. You've probably experienced something like this at your own doctor's office. You get a meeting for next week. A couple days before, I get a confirmation call that basically delivers me to a recorded message reminding me of the date and time. It uses Allison, I believe's voice in there, and then offers me in that same sort of IVR menu the ability to speak with somebody if I need to reschedule that. So it's basically a service or something that's running in the background. You can deliver the information to it in a feed, as Chris said, or upload it manually. But this is the appointment reminder feature.
Very good. We've also got queue reports, queue exact. Nice module if you're in the queues. You define certain templates for what you want to look at, and we've got different report types. You can choose different columns here, give it a title. I've got a demo that I created, and it is called demo. You set your time frame here, and we'll just tell it to get it. You can choose which queues and agents you want, and it gives you this type of detail as far as the queue and agent information that you specified in the template. Nice module, works very well.
Hey, Chris,
Excellent.
we did have a question that was relevant to the Q exact reports. So someone had, Maximo had asked, with respect to, I believe they were talking about the CDR Pro module that came in earlier, and they were wondering, can you get the call distribution in each queue from the Q report within CDR Pro, which I don't think we can do distribution in the CDR Pro, but I know we can do that within the Q exact reports. So if you need distribution, that can be obtained from the Q reports or Q exact module. But the reporting on the queues from the CDR Pro is going to just show direction and disposition. So you can get a look at how many total calls came in and how many were answered or missed in a specific queue, but you're not going to be able to see how many were answered by this agent versus this agent within there. If you need that data, that would be Q reports.
Right.
Awesome, Ryan. Thank you.
All right, we've got the exact dialer, or it's actually called broadcast in FreePBX. Interesting module. You generate campaigns. You can monitor the status of that campaign. So here's a campaign I've done. I've been wearing my wife out with it, but you configure it. You give it timing. You can report on it, and pretty simple. Here's a broadcast report.
So this one, I'll give the Mike White overview real quickly. I have a customer that's a large sanitation company out in California, and when there's inclement weather or anything that's going to create a delay in their service to their customers, they load this up and they started dialing. So there's some neat things you can do here, first and foremost. So one, you can send out a call, basically, or dial out a number and then deliver it to a sound file, right? So there's that broadcast message where the sanitation company's trying to tell them that, hey, we're going to be late or we're not going to be there today. But it's going to do a couple things. One, it's going to allow you to, if you scroll back up, Chris, this is the section I want to talk about here. I'll leave you to it, but it does the amount of concurrent calls. And then you have the ability to, if you want, to deliver those callers directly to a live person if they choose. So it's really a matter of disseminating information as well as giving the person who was called the ability to interact with that company as well if they have a question. And all that from either a list that is uploaded or one that's saved in a central repository that it's pulled from. Chris, did I get that right?
Yep.
All right, excellent.
Thank
Sorry
you.
if I jumped over you. Just trying to team up here.
Yeah, got it. Last one on the list, and then we'll get to questions and some interaction with the members that joined us. Q's Pro. The biggest thing that I would tell you about it is it gives us the ability to do virtual queues and lazy members. If you don't know what lazy members are, if you've got a strict queue environment and you've got an agent that is not answering the phone and for whatever reason has not paused themselves, that can cause chaos in queue distribution. We're able to monitor that with lazy members and actually pause that member for that call specifically, not like an auto pause where the agent's going to have to unpause themselves manually. We will look at it on a call-by-call basis, pause that member, and send the calls elsewhere. Virtual queues, you can do things like VIP, special numbers, different treatment for different calls outside of your standard queue. Can be useful for the areas I identified. With that, I know we're running short on time. I'm sorry I took so long with my advanced
Chris, you did
recovery.
an amazing job. You did a great job. I really, this is what we were trying to accomplish here.
Very good.
So, go ahead, Chris.
Open it up for questions or any comments.
And this is the part I think Mike realized, Matthew G realized, I think he could join the conversation. I don't know if this is necessarily going to be the solution we use in the future, but for now, I believe, you've got the question and answer section. It looks like we've had some on the right-hand side, some people saying hello.
We have a few
We've had some
questions that come
questions
in,
in there.
so
Yeah.
I've been responding to them, most of them, but maybe for the purposes of the attendees, I'll just summarize them. I don't think everyone necessarily sees the questions and answers, so would just say that there was a question about EOL for CentOS, so that's SNG7. The previous FreePBX distros and PBExact are based on CentOS 7. We have a blog coming out on that today from Chris, so we'll watch for that. We have a new all-in-one script for installing FreePBX on Debian 12, and there's some notes there about how we're going to be supporting FreePBX going forward. A request for future webinars on soft clients. I'm sure we have something scheduled, but nothing advertised as yet. So we'll take note of that.
Another thing I did want to mention as that relates, if there's something that we covered or didn't cover here, we're going to leave our contact information. Chances are your rep is on this call. We'd be happy to jump in, do some one-on-one, show you this stuff as well. So feel free to reach out to any of us.
There's a question from Mauro. He missed the first 20 minutes. High availability, is it based on DRBD or which? You can say, so the high availability module that Chris demonstrated, and you can see this back in the recording, it automates a backup and restore. So behind the scenes, what's happening on the primary system, a backup is run, a tarball is created, and it's transferred to the standby system, and then that tarball is restored on the standby. So it runs on a schedule. You can choose how often you want those two systems to be synchronized settings-wise, but they essentially run separate, independent, standalone FreePBX systems with an automated backup and restore. And that's how the settings are transferred between the two.
Not DRBD based.
No.
One thing I'd like to point out, well, Lauren, just to expand on what you said, I would characterize it as a combination of file store and API that's controlling it. And if you look now, it's taken a little while, but this is a P-series phone. What's really unique about these P-Series phones is they maintain registrations to both systems at the same time. Now that this box is active and my phone configs have taken shape, if you notice, I've got 2005 here as well. 2005 on that first screen. I've just executed an echo test. I'm going to exit this, and oh no, I don't want to do that. I want to core stop now. Asterisk is dead on that system. My phone is still here. My phone is registered. It never lost registration because it maintains dual registrations to the systems. If I hit my echo test again, I'm sorry, I've got an error here with TLS and SRTP, but that phone would configure itself immediately and do its thing. I apologize for the error, but everything I do recently has been with TLS and SRTP, and it does introduce some intricacies, and we can cover those in a future webinar. Sorry again.
Yeah, win them all, Chris. Killed it. Had to bump into something before it was
Yep.
over.
So we're winding down to our hour. We do have a hard cutoff here in a few minutes. So if there's any last
Shane,
questions, you can get them in the boxes.
I'll hit a couple of these too quickly. Shane Rose asks, is this being recorded? The answer is yes. I don't know when it'll get out. That's an Alvita thing, but we'll make sure that we shoot all the attendees. I was thinking, we'll probably do a post email here that sends out a quick thank you and some links to the content, our contact information. But yes, the answer is it is being recorded. We did have another question that asked which version is good for AWS that consists of all modules. Lauren says start with FreePBX 16. That's where we should always start currently. Oh, let's see. Hi, Herb. Is there a list of tested consumer grade firewalls that have been proven with P-Series handset? We have remote workers that have a variety of firewalls and routers that don't work. Herb, I know that we were trying to talk yesterday about a couple other things. I was out sick. Let's add this to the list. We'll bring Chris in and see if we can't troubleshoot that issue you're having with the P-Series. I can't expect that. I think that's probably a configuration issue, and we'll help you get through that.
Yep.
Well, it could be something that VPN resolves too, right? So
That's right.
the P series phones have a VPN client in them, and we could bypass the need to having to go through all the different firewalls that they have.
And
Yeah,
I mean, TCP TLS is always a good choice as well. I think anytime you're delivering phones over a WAN or something unique, I would look to those transport protocols.
Question here from Brad. With the transition to FreePBX 17, will it require a backup and restore to the new system? And is concerned that possibly losing purchase licenses in the process. So no, module licensing follows the deployment ID. So as long as you move the deployment ID from the old to the new system, then the module licensing will follow that. And there are mechanisms for that. If you haven't done it before, there's a self-serve option in the portal, portal.sangoma.com. And if you have done it before and if you've exhausted your self-serve options, then a support ticket will get that moved over for you.
Got one here from Burl. And a lot of these, just we did answer it. Again, we're kind of new to this format. I don't know if everyone can see these, but Burl asked if there's a plan to EOL CentOS. Check for that blog later today. I'll include that on that post email as well, but freepbx.org/blog will have a post today from the one and only Chris DeLise regarding some of the processes and testing that out. So be sure to look for that. Say we got a couple more minutes here. I know we're up against we got a couple more minutes, a couple more questions. Anyone else?
So a question from Charles regarding supporting VPN services like Tailscale. So, and the quick answer is there's no native support for third-party VPN services, but Sysadmin Pro does does have the ability to set up a simple VPN service on the PBX, which you can take advantage of for phones, so using built-in VPN clients. That's all based on OpenVPN.
Works well too.
We're being told to wrap it up, guys.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
thank you.
everybody, go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
I was just telling everyone thank you for attending.
Yes, thank you very much. I also, as we wrap this up, I did want to mention one more thing. We are going to have 2 more of these interactive demos. We really appreciate you guys showing up for this one. If you like the format, please come support us on March 19th. We'll be doing this at same time, 11 p.m. I'm sorry, 11 a.m. EDT. And we're going to run it again on March 22nd. We're going to cover different content, back to Pat. We're definitely going to cover the soft phones. And then, I also ask for feedback here. You'll have our contact. Anything you guys want to cover in these live sessions, feel free to hit us up with your ideas. We're here to help. And with that being said, thank you, Chris, Ryan, Elvita, Lauren, for joining us. And thank you, FreePBX community for jumping on here and listening to us yammer about some of our products for about an hour. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thanks, everyone,
Bye,
and
all.
have a great day.